What up? It's your boy Matt back at you with another podcast. Today's podcast is trade topics. I'll be getting into that in a moment. I do apologize for not posting the past couple weeks. It's been life. As I said, I ain't gonna bore you with my life story and all that crap. But today's trade topics, certain trade topics you can go into. You got welding, construction, drywalling, plumbing, all sorts of different trades. It all depends on your personal preference. You like, fixing pipes such as toilets, sinks, crap like that, or, building the building with plumbing, with construction and drywalling and stuff like that.
Or if you're into, electricity, or if you're into wiring and all that type of shit.
And there's also electrician, which you wire everything up. You make freaking a building that has no power have power.
Or if you also, if you like underwater and you enjoy welding, guess what you can do? You can do underwater welding, and you can make like fucking $80,000 a year, roughly.
Hell yeah.
You can go into a trade school for roughly 5 years, 4 or 5 years of schooling to get that done, and then you get all your certifications. Once you got your certifications and you put in all your hours, you can go and become your own contractor. You can go weld for big companies, small companies, yourself, your fucking brother, uncle, family, it doesn't matter. Once you're a contractor, you can do whatever. Same for construction. If you want to go out and fucking, build your own house, eventually one day you're going to build, some property or help build out something, go and take some trade schools for construction, learn how to go and fucking do some drywalling, learn how to, layer up the bricks, brick by brick, get all the fucking slab and concrete down, make sure you have it all nice and even, make sure when you cut your bricks, you got to be so precise, you got to be good with fucking measurements and shit too. It's a little much, but put in enough hours, put in enough work, then, you can really do whatever you want to do. If you're a fucking contractor for construction, the world is yours at that point because you can do whatever.
Another thing with laying bricks and, any construction or anything, you could be laying plumbing, electrician, whatever. What you got to do is measure twice, cut once, because you don't want to cut something too short, because in the construction world, you only have one try, and it's within a quarter inch, and that's not very much. And if you mess up that 1/4 inch, you got to redo everything again, and it
slows down everyone else on the job site. Then you got fucking the big man yelling and shit.
Yeah, so it's a big thing to measure twice and cut once, because you could be, let's say, laying a roof. You didn't cut that board well enough, that can fall through, and that can compromise the whole build. And it's the same thing with pipe. Let's say I need 3 feet of pipe. You give me 3.5 feet. That's too much. Or let's say you give me 2.5 feet. You're 6 inches short. It's within a 1/4 inch is what you have to keep it in, because it's a real pain. Because I've built shelving units and all sorts of stuff like that, and I've cut things within the 1/4 inch, and that's why the measure twice, cut once comes into play. Because let's say I didn't measure that, I would have messed up and just cut it, done. Yeah, that's gonna mess you up.
See, my first day when I was a hog carrier, when I was working for the union in my uncle's company, first or second day, they had me bring up all the fucking bricks to them and get all the fucking concrete and slab, get it up there for them, right? And then they had me go and cut shit. So they told me exactly where to cut it. I cut it exactly where it was supposed to be, within a 1/4 inch, right? Guess what? I didn't cut it at the right angle, and it was too fucking slanted. It was way too slanted. And they told me that, and I didn't realize it, and I still put it up there and slabbed it, and they looked over, and they're like, hey, why is your stuff so slanted? I'm like, huh? They're like, you cut it right, we can tell, but why does it go like that and it's not just straight? I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay, my bad. I didn't realize it was supposed to be a straight cut. I thought it was supposed to be a little slant at the end of it. So whatever they tell you, you have to do it to a T. Otherwise, it literally slows down the entire operation. It slows down the rest of the crew, and it makes the job a lot more excruciatingly longer and a lot more painful than it needs to be.
Yeah, so the measure twice, cut once is very, very big, because one wrong thing and that could compromise the whole build. With welding and stuff, you can do welding for numerous different things. As James said, you can do underwater welding. That you get paid big bucks for that one. Another thing that you can get paid big bucks for is construction. My dad or my stepdad went into construction. He was making before he got laid off. He was making like 36 to 40, and then he would train people that would eventually take his job, and that's kind of what happened, and he kind of got pushed out. But you can make big bucks. Electricians, there's always apprenticeship jobs that you can go to school for and then just get thrown into the job, and you can make decent money. I mean, currently I'm looking for work. I'm trying to go into construction and stuff. I'm more of a mechanic more than anything. But, I mean, you can do welding with mechanics, too. Let's say you need to weld an exhaust pipe because you modified it. There's another thing. Or, for drift cars, a lot of people, I don't recommend it, but a lot of people do weld their diff. It's, it's the thing that, it's sketchy. I wouldn't recommend it personally. If you're going to get a drift car, just freaking throw some slicks on it and then just drift it that way. Just don't weld the diff.
Maybe put some bags or something.
Yeah, you can put some bags on it, lower it, hydraulics. Yeah, coilovers is a good option because, you can lower the car and not have to mess up, your springs where you cut your springs and then weld it. That's another thing that can get messed up because one wrong move, and I've seen it on videos where they're undoing freaking strut tower springs and they fucking explode. And if you don't get out of there fast enough, you can get really hurt really fast. They will freaking snap back because they're under so much compression. You got to think they carry the weight of the car, and one wrong move, boom, and it fucking blows up. And I mean, with construction, building houses, as James said, build your own house. You can build skyscrapers in Seattle because they have metal fabrication all the time because they build freaking 80,000 foot skyscrapers.
Oh, I built one of the fucking hospitals out in Seattle. One of the brick hospitals out there, down near fucking 5th Ave and shit. We built that whole thing. It took us like 2.5 years.
Yeah. And there was metal fabrication and brick fabrication and all sorts of stuff there too. I mean, building things, skyscrapers, everything.
Every sort of trade was in the building. Like every kind of different trade that you can think of. Like literally any kind of trade. Like there was electrical people in there. There was fucking hog carriers. There was people doing construction. People doing plumbing. People doing everything. Because when you're in a job site that big for like hospitals and skyscrapers and shit, you're going to need all the people who know about trade schools and their certain trades that they've gone to school for. You're going to need as much as you can. And the best part about trade school is you don't even need a diploma. They don't even care if you have a diploma. You can get into there with no high school education, just some basic common sense and a little bit of like just education about trade school, just about construction or whatever trade you want to go into. You don't need no high school education. You just got to go out to a trade school and they'll teach you anything you need to know in like a couple of years or like a year or two, whatever one you want to go for.
I mean, including trade school, I mean, you can go into the military. I mean, I have a brother that's a nuclear engineer, so you got to think about that because you can do computer-aided draft and stuff and also go to school for that because there's a lot that goes into it, mechanics-wise and stuff like that. It's a big, long list that it goes into quite a bit. It's a big thing, and it's all within the trade.
Fucking one of my cousins, when I was growing up with her, she was always talking about how she wanted to do a whole bunch of other shit. And then she ended up going into trade school, and now she's been working as a fucking submarine tech or whatever, like submarine tech. She's been doing that for the past couple of years, and like her salary got fucking doubled to tripled almost.
Yeah, and I mean that's another thing with the military is that you can do that the subtech too because there's different branches. There's mechanic, there's nuclear engineer, there's you can design bombs, cars, Humvees, all sorts of stuff. But you have to make sure that everything's welded and riveted properly because one wrong move with that and that could compromise 10 soldier safety.
Especially with like torpedoes and shit, if that shit blows up inside the fucking submarine itself.
Yeah, torpedoes blowing up in the sub is not what you need.
It's going to prove you did not get the right education.
Yep. I mean, it all comes down to trial and error. I mean, if you're not good at it and you're like, oh, I'm good, I can do it, and then something blows up that compromises your job, compromises everything else with military, that could compromise troops. There's a lot that goes into that.
And if you feel like you don't know something and you're like genuinely like struggling to do something, just ask. Just go and ask someone. Ask questions. Don't be there for hours trying to figure it out on your own, and then when you figure it out, it ends up being wrong, and you spent like hours on it just for it to not be right. If you're confused, fucking ask. They're not there to make fun of you. They're there to help you. Yeah, they're a bunch of cranky old men most of the time for your fucking foremans and shit, but they're really there just to help you at the end of the day, because they're trying to make sure that we all get the fucking skyscraper or hospital or building or whatever we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure it gets done right and correctly, so we don't have to come back and fuck with it again, because we're not trying to do all that.
But yeah, I mean, that's all for trades. You can comment and do whatever. Ask me about more trades. I mean, I don't know a lot about trades. I do know some. I know, as I said, I hope to hear as much from the viewers as I can. So I'm going to leave it at that. And we'll catch you next week.